Hey, so today I'm going to be talking about the economy and what makes it good and what makes it bad. The economy is very complex and there are a lot of different factors that play into this. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the factors. The first is inflation. Inflation is defined according to the International Monetary Fund as the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Now, the Federal Reserve wants it to be at or around 2%. This is because if it's below that, that could indicate a problem in the economy like a recession. And if it's above that, that could be problematic because that means that prices are rising too fast for consumers to keep up with. As you can see in this chart here, we hit an all-time peak in the summer of 2022, hitting 9% rate of inflation, which was definitely felt among American consumers at that time because that is far too high. The next is job growth. According to the Center of American Progress, the Biden administration has been at or around 4% for unemployment rate for 30 of the past 38 months, and that hasn't been that low since the 1960s. Now, the unemployment rate should be around 4 to 5%, just for a little flexibility in the job market. And according to former Secretary of Labor Julie Su, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the Biden administration created 16 million jobs over the course of the first 3.5 years. Job growth can affect the economy because if people are unemployed, then they're not spending as much money on products that they deem unnecessary, which could definitely be showcased in products not being sold as much. Now, we saw this unemployment drop really low down here in 2020 after COVID, and by the end of 2023, all of those pre-COVID jobs were brought back with a little more, meaning that we're on the right track as far as job growth goes. The next factor is GDP, which means gross domestic product. Now, according to the International Monetary Fund, an economy is considered healthy when GDP is growing and people tend to benefit from a growing GDP. Now, healthy GDP growth is between 2 and 3%, according to the Corporate Finance Institute. Now, GDP growth is essentially the value of goods and services produced in a country over a certain period of time, and the lower it is, the less value and the less demand for these products, and the higher it is, the more demand. So if this GDP growth is between 2 and 3%, that's healthy and good for the economy. But if it's higher, that's even better because that means that job growth is doing better and these demands are consistently getting higher and higher for products because of everyone's ability to spend money. As you can see in this chart, it was consistently around 2 and 3% throughout 2024. The next factor is tariffs. Now, Oxford Economics defines a tariff as taxes that are imposed by a government on goods and services imported from other countries. Now, tariffs can be good if you put them only on certain products because it could potentially create more jobs and support American businesses. However, if it's on a broad scale, that could be very damaging to the economy because someone has to pay for those tariffs, and it is not the other country, it is the consumers and the businesses within America. An economist from Brown University has said that if the Trump administration moves forward with the tariffs it's planned, she believes that the American consumers will pay the price and they are also going to hurt American businesses. This can be seen in the stock market as far as tariffs go. The stock market is a good indication of how the economy is performing and projections. And if you look at this chart here, you can see after Trump's announcement of tariffs, the stock market drastically declined pretty fast. Trade wars can also be a result of tariffs. They are defined as an economic conflict between countries by the Corporate Finance Institute, and they are typically when a country imposes tariffs on another country. We saw this happen a couple of months ago and this month as well, when the United States imposed tariffs on China and China retaliated with tariffs of their own, now bringing American tariffs on Chinese goods to 145% and Chinese tariffs on US goods 125%, meaning that consumers in both countries will be paying the price. And lastly, unforeseen circumstances can also affect the economy, like the COVID pandemic that no one could control. We can see in this chart here that GDP growth went down in April of 2020 due to COVID because those demand for those supplies were drastically lower and not needed. And inflation rates went up around the same time for the entire world in 2022 due to the long-lasting effects of the economy. Now, there are many things that impact an economy, and it's important to stay up to date with those things, such as job growth, tariffs, inflation, trade wars, and things that are out of everyone's control, like COVID, that ultimately do affect the economy.